My name is Jordan, a former car salesman turned a car buying advisor, and in this video we're going to go over some posts that we've seen in the car community about some of the craziest stories. In today's story, the car salesman that came to my house. It looks like it could be a consumer, I think just an ordinary consumer. I'm not sure they actually been industry experience, but the story goes like this. We went to look at a used car at a local major brand about a few miles from the house. We test drove the car and liked a few things, and we offered aggressive pricing, but in fair offer. The finance manager comes and tells me we are too far apart, and I said, I understand, no harm, and walked out. While heading to the other dealership, I get a handful of texts and calls from the original dealership telling me that the general manager, which that makes more sense, the general manager is willing to do the offer that they offered, the original offer. I was driving and didn't answer. I pulled into the next dealership and got a call from my wife saying that the car salesman is at the front door ringing our doorbell with the car at the front of the driveway. I only provided my license for the test drive. I didn't think the dealer or the salesperson would come to my house. It's only been about 25 minutes since I walked out the dealership, and I was going back and forth on the deal, but now I want nothing to do with the dealership. The salesman was apologetic, but still feel weird about going on a test drive now. Is this normal behavior? Why are we going to use lengths just to have me in the dealership? Some of these games are ridiculous. Definitely ridiculous. I've never seen this in my entire life. This is a first. I've during when I was selling cars, I'd probably say the most unconventional type of sell I probably did. It was a demonstration car from the manufacturer, so it wasn't a demo from the actual dealer, but came from the manufacturer. And those ones have massive amount of discounts. And I remember this. It was a Toyota Tacoma in like a powdered blue, and this car was just beautiful because I had like $10,000 of profit in it. And I remember the first customer came in and he wanted to buy the car, but he just had such buyer's remorse, and even before he bought the car, he wanted to get it, but he just didn't feel like it was the right time. And it was heartbreaking because he was willing to pay full price for the car, so that would have left me with 30% of 10,000. I eventually asked him, hey, what type of discounts can we get? And he said, basically nothing. Like, I want to buy the car, but I just can't afford to. A few weeks later, another customer comes in and he grinds me to the last penny. And we sold the car, and I think I maybe made 200, 300 bucks. Comparison to the first one, which could have been like 3,000. The car was still moved, it was still sold, but in between those two customers, I was calling the first customer. I said, hey, I'll drive her to your house. Do you want to take it on the back roads and give it a try? But I never actually did that without his permission. But I remember willing to go to his lengths for that customer. And I think that car salesman probably had a similar experience. There's probably a lot of growth in that car, and he was willing to actually go. But let's see some of these comments. If any of my guys went to a customer's house like that, they'd be fired on the spot. And if I ever worked at a place that told me to go to the house to try to close a deal, I'd quit on the spot. Not normal. This is something you just don't see often. Someone else said, I have never, in my 2.5 decades of work in the car industry, have had anyone pull a stunt like this. I've never seen anyone do that as well. I want to say, even though it's not a good tactic and it can scare customers away, I have to give this car salesman a lot of props and guspa for going above and beyond. But sometimes above and beyond becomes above and creepy. If he asked to drop it off to the customer's house, I understand the customer wasn't picking up the phone, so he was asking for permission. But you gotta wait more than a few minutes or even a few hours. Give it a few days, man. And he was on his way back to buy the car, but he literally, the car salesman blew it by bringing it to his house, looked at his address through his driver's license and blew it. Someone else said, that is effed. Asking for permission to drop off a car paperwork at a house is fine, right? But just showing up, hell no. I'm not about ratting people out, but that crossed the line. I would call and report to the sales manager who may have sent them over, but regardless, go up the line. I agree with this car salesman. I wouldn't personally, I'm not a big component of going up the ladder and complaining, and I would also maybe even leave a bad review. I'm not one to necessarily say anything. I may leave a bad review, or I could call the salesman and say, hey dude, don't ever do that again. That was a little bit too much. The original poster said, yeah, I'm not one to mess with anyone's jobs, and he was very apologetic and regret doing it. However, it was super off-putting getting that call from my wife. Wanted to gauge opinions here. Since the car salesman was apologetic, I'd probably just let it go. If he was kind of, being abrasive and a dickhead, it could be a different story. Once again, this is not normal. So we had someone else say, we had a sales lady in home sales go to her customer's house, ask why they opted out, and wanted answers. Definitely not normal, and promptly fired. Someone else also said that the car manager may have sent him to do this, which I really hope that's not the case. Someone else said no car salesman would have crossed the line. It depends. If it was a big check, I could see them doing it, and they need that extra last car for the month. They have to hit 10, 20, 15, whatever it may be. That could equal thousands of dollars, and that $1,000 could equal like a trip or buying something they really want or extra savings, whatever it may be. People are just constantly still saying they're not sure if this was a good idea to do. Some people say leave a review. Someone says it's actually abuse of privilege of information and certainly a fireable offense. And I agree. But what do you think about this story? I think this is probably one of the best stories I came across. A car salesman so willing to get the sale, they're willing to drive their car, drive the model to the customer's house. If for whatever reason, having it in the driveway, it would just put the car over the top and have them buy the car. I would love to follow up with this guy and see where this deal ended up going. If you enjoy these car sale videos, there's going to be a few more coming up, so stay tuned and feel free to watch. Just part a link below or on the side somewhere to continue watching these car videos.